this video, we're going to take a look at complex geometry. So we're still going to be in the horizontal geometry introduction drawing. And we're going to zoom down to this area right here, complex geometry, towards the bottom. And we're going to be in the open roads modeling. We're going to be under the geometry tab and the horizontal area. Under complex geometry, the ones we're going to look at in this video are going to be complex by element and complex by PI. And that's these two items here. What this tool allows you to do, this first one, complex by element, is you need to have elements out there on the screen that connect or come close to connecting. They don't actually have to connect. If you had a set of lines out here that were drawn and you wanted them to act as one piece, you could actually pick individual lines and have them connect together. For example, if I were to come out here with the lines tool and draw three separate lines, and I wanted those to act as one. This comes in handy if you want to add these three items to a corridor to have it seek them. Instead of having to pick all three individual lines, you could complex them together, and then you'd only have to pick one. The way this works is under complex geometry, we've got the complex by element. So those three lines that I just drew out there, I can pick on those, and you can see the arrow pointing in the direction that it's going to try and create those complexes. So you always want that arrow to point in the correct direction. So in this case, we're going to pick that last one on the left end, and it'll point to the right. And when you're done, all you have to do is left click in a blank area to accept that. And then you come out here on the screen, you can see they act as one. You can still modify each one individually if you'd like to, change any information about those, but they act as one piece. Okay, same thing with this item here. These are all connected together. As you can see, you can modify the different parts, but they are individual pieces. This is kind of how we go about creating alignments as well. We might create them with separate elements and then connect them together. So in our feature definition toggle bar, which again is under standards feature definition toolbar, you can set up a feature definition. So we'll set this at MoDOT baseline proposed. And in there, if I want it to annotate, I'll go ahead and turn on the annotate element option inside of there, and then I'll also turn on the use it as active. Okay, so that means when I change this element here, it should modify it and change it to a MoDOT baseline proposed, make it all one piece, and annotate it at the same time. So let's take a look at doing that. Complex by element. As you can see in the dialog, there's a manual method and an automatic method. If they're connected together, as they are here, you could use automatic and it'll piece them all together. Down here we use manual because the items aren't touching. Okay, but you could also use manual here if you wanted to and pick each individual piece. The maximum gap for automatic would be 0.0328, so if it's beyond that, it may have a hard time picking it up. If there's more than one piece that connects here, you'll have a fork, and you'll have to tell it which direction that you want to go. We also have a name here. You can have spaces in your name now. As far as a MoDOT baseline proposed goes, you can have as many characters as you want plus a space. It's not going out to any GPK or anything like that, so it can be named whatever. This one's called baseline prop. That's just the default. If we come out here, we can again move our mouse to the left side, and you'll see the arrow pointing around that direction. So we'll left click on the left side of that. It will complex those together, and then all you have to do is accept it with a left in a blank area, and it will go ahead and do all those things that we discussed. It'll place in stationing, give it the tick marks, change it to the yellow, change it to the MoDOT baseline proposed feature definition. Okay, So we've got that one in there. The next thing is to complex by PI. Now what this does is you're just giving it VPI locations, not VPI, just regular PI locations throughout, and it will go ahead and put in a radius if you define one, and it'll create an alignment for you. Okay, so this one, complex by PI. Again, if we leave our feature definition set to mode.baseline proposed, have it turn on annotation, and go ahead and make it active. In the complex by PI tool, we have things that we can fill out. So we have a radius here. Right now it's set at 500. If I want to change that down to 100, I can do that. Spirals, do you want it to be a spiral? If you do, then you can go in and put in a length. So let's say we want to put in a spiral definition here. We can key in 100 in length on the back transition and on the ahead transition, which they could be different numbers, but we'll do that. Baseline prop is still the name. It will put a 1 after it because they can't have two alignments with the same name. Or we can put in something like 54 and tab that in, or enter that in. Okay. And out here on the screen that says enter the first VPI. So all that is a left click. Now you can snap to something. You could use Civil AccuDraw to go in and key in a specific information, or you can left click. So I'm going to left click to start it. As you can see, it's putting out your length and your direction. So you can modify those after the fact. So if you don't like using Civil AccuDraw, put it in where you want it to go and then go back and modify it. So if we place our first PI and then we come out and place our second PI, it's going to place a 100-foot curve in there as long as it can do it. And we're just going to pick our last PI. You can right click when you're done and it'll go ahead and create that. If we take a look at it, left click on it, again you can modify different aspects of it. If it's orange like this, you can modify it. So we've got our 100-foot spiral transitions in here with our 100-foot curve. So all that can be modified. You'll notice that these cannot be modified like they are. What you have to do is right click over the top of that first tangent line and then it becomes available. Okay, so you're modifying from here to here for this one. Alright, and that's kind of a little bit different than what we've worked with before. Anything white like this, you can oftentimes you can right click over the line and modify it. Some are stuck in there, like this one here in the middle. If I right click over that, it takes a few right clicks because we got several different things happening in there. But then you can get to it and get to the orange and change that. Okay, if you did want to use Civil AccuDraw, you could turn that on. And since we're in the horizontal, you can see all the different horizontal options down in here. Right now it's set at distance and direction, which is probably the one that you want. We can do the same complex by PI. We've got the same information out here. Just give it a different name, but everything else I can leave the same. And we'll start it at a location, and you can see Civil AccuDraw take effect. Then all you have to do is tab into the different fields. Say I want 1,000 foot here, and enter that in. Move your mouse around, it'll lock it in for you at 1,000 foot. And then you give it a direction. Let's try north 85 degrees east. Enter that in. It will lock it. You can move your mouse around and then left click to accept that. And you can continue on creating through that. So if I do another 1,000, hit enter. We'll do south 30 east. Enter. It'll lock that in. And you can see that line crossing. Okay. And the last one we can make it 1,000 as well. Enter that in. Direction south 86 east. Enter that in, and you can see that happen. Then we can left click and place it. You can see what happens here. We can't fit that 100-foot curve in there. If you pick on that curve, you'll see that it is not, doesn't have the ability to create that curve. So you'd have to go back and make some modifications to get this to actually work for you. You can sometimes move PIs around to get it to work. You can increase or decrease the PI. So you can see I'd have to move it out here in order to get that to fill in. Okay. So that's the kind of work that you can create with a complex by PI.